welcome to Womam TV. Today we are very happy to present the journey of a very famous author and journalist from our Pune, and she is Sudha Menon.
Hi, lovely to be on this show.
Thank you, ma'am. And Sudhaji is the proud author of 4 best-selling non-fiction books, which are right here. The first one is Gifted. This one is Legacy. There is something really special about this book which we'll talk about.
Yes.
And then this is really lovely one, Devi Diva or She Devil. And the fourth one is The Leading Lady. Interesting. She has been also a former newspaper journalist, columnist, writing coach, speaker on TED and on diversity and inclusion issues. That's quite a lot to do.
Yes, I love the fact that there is so much I can do with my time. I think women are wired like that, isn't it?
Yes,
that we are just born with all of these abilities, and we seamlessly manage all those things.
True. So Sudhaji, we are really interested in knowing that was writing always your passion since childhood, or there was some U-turn sort of a thing?
In some ways, I think writing was predestined for me, because I grew up in a house where we didn't have much in terms of material comfort. My father was a government employee, and he worked for the railways, and he was a trade union leader and a very honest, kind, compassionate man. So most months my mother would get just one fraction of his salary. The rest he would give away to various people who needed the money more than us.
Oh,
but
sweet.
what he did not what he could not give us in terms of material comfort, he gave us in terms of books. He gave us a house full of books, and every month he would go out and bring books. And so my childhood and my teenage years were actually spent in the company of books. And I think if you read that much, then there is no way that you cannot write. So I think my destiny was made back when I was a little girl.
And as it sounds, your parents were very supportive for you being a writer?
Oh, completely. I think when I was 18, maybe, just on the point of graduating, I told my mom, she had this dream for me, like all middle class parents of those days. My parents, especially my mother, I think she wished that her children, we are 4 of us, and I think she secretly hoped that we would all sort of find government jobs which are secure and safe.
Yes.
The privatization had not happened then, and so a government job was the best thing ever. But at 18, when I was on the verge of graduating, I told her, Mom, I don't want to work in a bank, and I don't want to work in LIC and all of those things that people worked in. I said, I want to write. I want to become a journalist. And she looked at me and she said, I don't know what that holds for you in the future, but if that is what you want to become, then by all means. And it was, you asked about support.
Very
and
important.
Yes, you asked about support, and I cannot think of a pair of parents who could have been more supportive. I think at that point, my mother was spending more than a quarter of what the family income was to send me to journalism college out of Mumbai. I came to Pune here. I came to Pune to study journalism, and over a quarter of the family's income every month came to me so that I could live here, eat properly, stay in a hostel, and pursue my dream. So that is the extent of support.
Yes.
And I really want to tell your viewers that, especially when it comes to women, I want to tell parents that listen to their dreams, open your heart out, and you could be the best enabler of your daughter's dream. So please just open your hearts to them.
Isn't she beautiful? That's what we love about you and your writing, of course. So, ma'am, were there any hurdles, any challenges as an author in your writing journey?
As a journalist, of course, I think I was 24 when I had my only daughter. And a journalist's life is one of the most unpredictable things in this entire world. There is no guarantee that when you wake up in the morning, there is no 9 to 5 schedule for a journalist. We leave the house, and then we come home when the day's news reportage is finished. So I struggled with the usual things. I struggled because I was a very young mother. I was completely unprepared for this giant mountain of responsibility that comes with having your little baby. and I was very, very, very lucky that my parents and my younger sister actually completely took over my daughter's upbringing. So till the age of 3.5, they practically raised her, because a newspaper person's job begins very early in the morning. I would go to work, but it was one hell of a struggle. So my daughter was staying with my parents. I lived in a faraway, distant suburb of Mumbai. So mornings began with me going to meet my baby for an hour, spending some time with her, frantically trying to do something for her, because I was so guilt-stricken that I was not able to be full-time mom. And then go to work, put in 10 hours of work or whatever it required. Then back to my mom's house to spend some time with baby, put her to bed, then go back to my house. So life was like really frantic. But through all of it, I think what kept me going was this intense love for her, but also the knowledge that and the awareness that I would be a very unhappy mom if I was just kept at home and I had to just
something like that.
I knew that if I didn't work, I would go crazy. And an unhappy mother, I think, is the worst thing possible for her child. I think every woman needs to understand that. I had that guilt all those years ago, but now I'm able to say with a lot of very categorically that guilt is a very, very corrosive thing to hold close to you. Every person has the right to do something that she really wants to do with her life. And after so many years, I can now say that parenting goes on, life goes on. Having your baby should not be the end of your aspirations. In fact, it is a beautiful chapter in your life, but don't let it be the only chapter. Don't make it the end of the woman that you are.
This is very true, because when I look around, especially in the Indian moms and including me, there is a lot of guilt. The moment you're absent for your child and present somewhere else where you love to be,
yes,
you're
a bad mom.
Yes.
So this book that I wrote,
yes.
So this is Devi, Diva or She Devil. This book was actually written, the Devi stands for I'm talking about the stereotypes and the labels that women get along their journey. So the Devi is a woman who toes the line, who stays at home, looks after her family, looks after the child, and does nothing at all for herself. She is the true blue Devi. The Diva is a woman who decides that I'm going to live life on my terms. This is who I am, and I'm not apologetic about who I am. And if you don't like it, just too bad. So she promptly gets the label of Diva. And we all know what happens when a woman goes to work and sort of is the boss woman. Then she has all those labels, and one of them is a she devil. Nobody will call a woman a she devil to her face, but we all know that label lurks around unsaid in the background.
Yes. I'm
so
sure
this book was
going to relate to
this. So this book was written because I wanted to bring all these things onto the table. Far too often we let all these labels sort of intimidate us. We don't want to be those people, we don't want to be those labels. We just want to be good moms because that's what society has told us to do. That all that conditioning has gone on, that once you have a baby, then that takes center stage. By all means, let the baby take center stage in your heart, but don't let it take center stage in your entire life.
Yes.
You can be a great mom, but you can be also a great other things, several other things.
Want to watch and learn.
Yes, absolutely.
Lovely, so beautiful. So we would also like to know, you're into writing, so anything new you have on your platter, and we can expect something, the next.
If you're a writer, every day is a new something to write, because I think the wiring becomes like that. You wake up in the morning, you look out of the window and you see something unusual, and it instantly becomes a story in your mind. And it is the joy of my life, but it is also what drives me frantic and mad, because I want to write all day. I want to write so many things. And so, yeah, there is always something, the pot is always boiling, so to speak. Yeah, I'm just on the verge of finishing my next book. And for the first time, I have taken a really giant leap of faith. I'm writing a book of humor. And that is completely different from what I have done. You know, most of my books are about inspirational, motivational stories and stuff. But I decided that I wanted to write something. I've always wanted to write fiction, and I wanted to write things that I've not been doing all this while. So this book will be like the test of my,
one
my
more flavor from Sudha ji. This is the book which has really special connection, and would love to know more from you as well.
Yes. So I wrote this was my second book. Legacy was actually my second book. I wrote it 2 years after I wrote Leading Ladies, which is a book about women who inspire India. And that I finished that, and then when this book was actually written because this was the year my daughter was turning 21. And I had it in my mind that I had so many things to tell her about, what the really important things are for a young girl to know as she sets out on her journey. I wanted to tell her what are the qualities to adapt, what are the things to avoid, just the really important things for all of us women to know. But I also knew that you know how it is between a mother and a daughter, that anything a mother says is considered sort of a lecture. And I didn't want for her
Mom.
to. Yes, mom, yes.
My 3.4 already is like, Mom, and I'm like, really?
Absolutely. So, so I said, instead of writing a letter to her, I wanted really ready and badly to write a letter to her. But instead of writing that letter, I said, what if I just get some of the most inspirational women and men and women in this country and get them to write letters to their daughters.
Wow.
And it was a huge task, because the people in this book, Mr. Narayana Murthy is there, and a lot of interesting people,
Mr.
And
Padukone.
Mr. Padukone is one of the, he was my childhood hero. Mr. Prakash Padukone was my childhood hero. And I know that he has these two wonderful daughters. One is a golf player, and the other is, of course, the actor Deepika Padukone. So I wrote to him and I said, I want to come and interview you. And he said, come, we'll meet for half an hour, 45 minutes. So I traveled to Bangalore, and we sat in a stadium where his office is, and he just spoke to me. We spoke for hours. And he spoke to me about raising these two daughters and how he made sure that when he was raising them, he was absolutely the biggest hero that this country had in a long time. The All England champ, and he was this huge celebrity. And wherever he went, there would be people recognizing him, wanting his autographs. But he says, at home, I was not the hero dad. At home, I was just her father to them, and I raised them like normal children. And to this day, he said to me that when Deepika comes home and if there are guests, she pulls the mattress down and she sleeps on the floor. And if after dinner there is something to be done, she helps her mother to wash and clean,
Wow.
and all of those things. And I was so struck by, and I don't think he was just saying it, because I think the family lives like that. He said to me that she might be a superstar to the world. For me, she is my daughter. She's just my daughter. And what was really special for me was that a couple of years ago, when she got her Best Actor award, she read out this letter from her father to her. And that letter is from this book. That letter is based on the interview that I took of Mr. Padukone, and the letters were written by me. And then, of course,
felt so special.
It felt very, very special, because I realized that somewhere it made an impact. Because if you noticed, if you Google and if you see the faces of the people who are sitting in the audience, most of them had tears in their eyes. For me, it was tinged with a bit of sadness when this letter was read out. Deepika was reading out that letter. And my father was on his deathbed, at that point. He was fighting a very severe hospital acquired infection, and he passed away 3 or 4 days after that. So there was this big challenge here. I was sitting with my father who was dying, and everywhere else people were sending me congratulatory messages saying your letter is on, and I think I took strength from the fact that my father had told me that never let any challenge bring you down to your knees. Learn to take every challenge on your chin, and that's what I pretty much did. So legacy is really, really special for me, and it remains one of my most read and popular books. It's gone into several editions, and I think what is important there is that there is a timeless quality about the wisdom that parents sort of convey to their children and their grandchildren.
This is a super special book, especially for all parents watching. You must read it.
Especially for your daughters.
Yes. Lovely. So Sudhaji, we would love to know that inspiring message you would like to give across to our moms watching you.
Okay, now this is tough but also very easy. I think what I would like to tell all the women who are watching this show is that really don't be afraid. Give up being afraid of things. Give up your fear of failure. Stop letting timidity get in the way of your dreams, and never let any challenge dissuade you from getting to your dreams. And most important for me really is that don't let anybody tell you that you're not good enough. You are good enough, and you have to stand up and be counted every single time.
Oh, thank you. So that was lovely Sudha Menon. And as we all know, a writer always has a beautiful mind, which she has shown on our show today. We are so thankful to her. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for giving me this platform. It was really, really special to be here, Treta.
Thank you, Sudhaji. Stay tuned with Mom TV for more powerful stories. Thank you again.
Thank you.